Well, good morning, ladies, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to Women of Wisdom Weekly. Lovely to have your attention today. And what we're going to talk about in this session is women of prayer and common sense. So let's get started and take a look at this whole concept. You will remember that I did a video sometime previously about back-to-back discussions, and that was particularly in relation to your spouse and sometimes encouraging your children to do the same. So there will be a link in the description box below where you can view that video as well, because they kind of marry up together. So you will get a little bit richer understanding by watching that one as well. So check out the description box below. So let's look at this. You know, if we are constantly chastising our spouse and our children, it's not a wise thing to do. It causes the recipients of that constant, almost nagging like chastisement, to over time they develop a low self-esteem. And it starts very gradually, but in the end it becomes that constant, it's like a motor continually turning over but not quite getting started. It doesn't quite ignite, because this feeling of I never get it right, or I'm not listening, or I don't take any notice of this, that adds up over a period of time and manifests in detrimental ways to the recipient of that. So that's the first thing we need to get our head around this morning. So left unchecked, this careless, regular reprimanding, it will erode the entire family, even can destroy the family and the home. And we probably can all recall someone that we've known in our lives that this kind of fits a little bit, this description. And to the point when other people feel uncomfortable about it, because they've maybe been in the presence of the family when this, inappropriate chastisement was in progress. And the more people chastise, the less likely they are to be careful when and where they do it. It tends to become part of their normal vocabulary in terms of words they choose, the wrong words. So this anger and short temper, etc., and thoughtless sort of phraseology and things that are said at any time, that can destroy the home and the family. It's a terrible thing. It's like the saying, nagging. It's that constant nagging. And I want you to think carefully about this too. Whatever passes our lips, whatever words spill out over our lips, we can never take them back. We can never gather them up and push them back inside. We wish we could, but unfortunately, once those words pass over our lips, they're there to stay indelible. There's nothing you can do to take them back. They've been said. A wife, a homekeeper, mother, etc., has the power and an ability to moderate those family discords, those events that every family has. Let's not kid ourselves. Every family runs smoothly, but when there's discord or disagreement in the family, be it the kids, he's got my toy, no you haven't, blah blah blah. We've all had it happen. If you use common sense, you can moderate that discord in a kind way, but with a firmness, and your female intuitive ability and your wisdom. All those things come together in being part of the everyday duties of a mother. So, you have to know when to stop and say something and when to ignore things as well. Often, that little bit of niggling between siblings is sometimes part of their growing up as well. While you must keep your finger on the pulse of it, you can't stop every little bit of niggling occurring in a home, especially amongst the siblings, because that is part of their growth too. You must keep your finger on it and keep an eye on it, but also both those siblings that are niggling or nagging at each other have a lesson to learn. The recipient needs to learn to contemplate and respond appropriately, and the giver of the niggler, I don't know if you can say niggly and niggler. Oh, I don't know. But the niggler, the one doing the niggling, also needs to accept consequences that that person they're niggling is going to rear up and say something back to them too. So there's a lesson for both parties. Just remember that. Keeping an eye on it, being an earshot is fine, and you have to step in when you need to, but sometimes you have to this is part of growing for the siblings. You may talk to each of them privately afterwards and say you handled that very well, or perhaps next time so-and-so says or does that to you, how about, and give them a suggestion. So, not every family runs on perfect harmony 24/7. No, it doesn't. But it's understanding when and where is appropriate to intervene. All right. So the wife and the mother, she does have that power and ability to intervene and to moderate in family discord when it occurs, when it's required, but using a kind manner. Be that intuitive sense and feeling you get coupled with the kindness is how you do it. Now, the other thing we need to remember also is wives, as mothers and wives, is that husband and children men, meaning husbands in this case, and the children, they suffer emotional bruising easily. And that pain of that bruise, even though the skin's not been broken, but a bruise can be painful and it lingers a lot longer than the punch that caused it. So you need to understand that pain can outlast that mental bruising. So it lingers there in the back of the mind, I'm in this situation again, I don't like it, I'm going, the guard goes up. The other thing is that just contemplate this, a cranky wife and a mother is going to drive away family affection and harmony. You're going to put a wall in front of it. That family affection and harmony is not going to continue to be spontaneous and from the heart. So that nagging mum or nagging wife phrase or type of person, they will drive away that harmony from the home. Not only that harmony within the family, but the other thing that you must understand, it also drives away the divine presence. And that is something we need to be very, very concerned with. The divine presence will not linger where there is anger, discord, unkindness. But most of all, when there is anger, the divine presence will not linger. So just keep that in mind. We've all been in a position where we've done it. We've blown our stack, so to speak, and as soon as the words have passed out of our mouths, we thought, oh, why did I do that? Why did I say that? How could I have done that? That dreadful feeling. The divine presence flees when we lose our temper. So the last thing we need is for the divine presence to withdraw from our home and our family. And keep that in mind. Think about that. You know, what I'm about to say or do, is this going to cause the divine presence to withdraw from my home and my family? And that, coupled with the fact that whatever words in anger pass out through your mouth, across the lips, you cannot gather them up and take them back. They're out there forever. So just remember, the divine presence will not linger or continue to stay where there is anger. Now, let's move on a little bit further. So before we speak to our spouse and or the children in relation to issues that perhaps are causing you some concern, the best thing to do is to take time first and pray about it. Think about it. Think, I've got to broach this topic. I need to say that I'm not happy with this, or, you know, can we change the way we do this? Or can we improve that? You need to think that plan out in a prayerful manner and discuss it with Hashem. So whatever that issue is that's causing concern, the first step is to sit down quietly and pray about it. Now, sometimes that time we've taken out to spend in prayer allows the divine presence to influence our thoughts and our behaviour. And that time, that stepping back and that prayer time, suddenly things don't seem quite so bad. Suddenly perhaps that, you know, I've got to do something about this, has sort of started to drain away. That you've started to get calm, cool and collected. So never underestimate prayer before you have to speak to someone, whether it be good tidings or a concern you have. Prayer, moment of prayer can save you a lot of words that are said in unkindness. Now, loving concern and sincerity, it always overtakes the annoyance and the grievance we previously harboured. So moving along, you've had that step back and you've had that moment of prayer and thoughtfulness. So now suddenly you've self-diffused in a way, and you're regrouping. You're starting to think, oh, no, I'm not going to say, maybe I'll let that go and keep an eye on it. Do I really need to bring this up at this time? So therefore, you're going to regroup yourself. Look at the situation and self-diffuse. Is it really necessary? Now, I referred earlier to a video link in the description box below that talks about back-to-back discussion. I find that is a good solution to a lot of things. Now, as a woman and as a wife, mother, we do have the ability to turn around situations or behaviours. And that ability is only through that acknowledging the power of the prayer, common sense, and kindness. You know, so often we forget just plain old-fashioned common sense. Let me give you an example. You've told your children not to swear or use coarse language or something. And you've got one child that's had a particularly bad week through no fault of their own. Something's, you know, one thing and another has happened. We all go through it. Our kids all go through it. And then something happens, they drop something on their toe and they say a curse word. Might not be a real bad one, but, you know, it a mild curse word. Sometimes silence and discretion is better And there are times when you have to just let things slide too, because the child's probably looked at you and you've got a startled look on your face because the child knows you don't approve. You don't need to say anything. There's some times when chastising is not required because you will know your child has got the message without you pointing it out. Step back. Let body language do the explaining. Now, we need to just remind ourselves that every situation does require our womanly intuitive abilities, common sense, prayer, reflection, etc. Now, the other thing is that before we ever launch into this lecture or reprimand that we're giving someone, we need to take that step back. Think again, maybe remove yourself from the area and spend a few minutes in prayer. Not everything that happens that displeases you requires you to respond immediately. That's an important thing. That happens everywhere, in the workplace as well. Because often when you think about it, you think, oh, maybe I was a bit trigger happy there. Maybe it wasn't all that bad. Maybe it was they used a poor choice of words and I took it the wrong way. So you always need to come back to that situation where you step back, reflect, prayer, take a deep breath, realign your thoughts and feelings, and ask yourself, in this situation, is it better I remain silent and reflective on this matter? Is it better I remain silent and reflect on this matter? And sometimes just the time you've spent saying that to yourself and thinking about it, you can feel yourself diffusing. You can feel yourself coming into a controlled, common sense presence of mind. And that's what it's about. Think before we speak. Is it appropriate to say something now, or should I just watch it and see how it continues? Time, taking a few deep breaths and some prayerful time with Hashem will make a difference, I promise you. In the meantime, thank you, ladies. I always look forward to Monday with Women of Wisdom. Thank you for your comments, and please let me know if there are particular topics you would like me to address. I'm happy to do that if I'm able. In the meantime, please take care and God bless.